Bluey stories are emotional, but would you believe it if we told you that there are not one, but 2 episodes that are lost? Protagonist. One thing you need to understand about Bluey is that the little healer pup was not supposed to be the protagonist of this story. According to the series creator, Joe Brum, the first idea was to make Rusty the character who leads the episodes. He wouldn't even be called Rusty, but that's a topic for later. The red kelpie pup and his family are very similar to the healers. In fact, if you put Rusty next to Bluey, it looks like they are siblings. Can you imagine how different the episodes would be if Bluey were not the protagonist? The games would be with the dad, since Rusty's dad works in the army and is very busy. Not to mention that the main character would want to play cricket games every day and pretend to be a soldier. That would be very different, wouldn't it? But the creators of the series changed their minds because they realized that making the blue puppy the protagonist was the best plan. It was at that point that Bingo was created. The family's older brother disappeared. We're going to talk about that soon. And the dad of the family became Bandit Healer. Impressive, don't you think?
The moment has come! Let's enjoy another Cinewave together.
Age. Now, you should know that there was a Bluey pilot episode before the official premiere of the series that never aired, but we do have some scenes from this story. One of the most impressive details is that Bluey would be younger. Yes, in the scene, Bandit Healer takes his daughter to play at the park, and you can notice that she is inside a baby stroller, as if she were a very young puppy. Another thing that is very easy to notice is that our protagonist is shorter than what we see in the regular episodes of the series. And you know what that means, right? She would be much younger. In the original series, Bluey is already 7 years old. She can even ride in the front seat of the car, but from what we can see in the lost episode scenes, she must be around 3 to 4 years old. And as interesting as that sounds, if this idea had moved forward, wouldn't there be a problem? Let's talk about that right now. Bingo. The problem with a younger Bluey is that Bingo wouldn't exist. That must be why they made the protagonist older. Now, let's think about how strange that would be. The idea of the Bluey series is to show 2 sister pups playing with their parents and discovering the world. If Bluey were only 4 years old, as appears in the pilot version, her sister wouldn't be able to take part in the games because she would be too young. She wouldn't even know how to walk or might not have been born yet. That's why this lost episode does not appear in the series. And you probably remember the story from Baby Race, when Bingo asks where she was when her older sister was trying to learn how to walk, and Chilli answers that she hadn't been born yet. Would you like to see a Healer family series without Bingo? That wouldn't make any sense at all, do you agree? Good thing they changed their minds. Do you prefer watching the series with or without the red healer puppy? Comment the hashtag bingo so we can get to know you. The brother. If Bingo didn't exist, would Bluey's older brother, the one who unfortunately was never born, have a place in the story? This is another detail from the lost pilot episode that never made it into the series. Let's show how this theory makes perfect sense by analyzing Rusty's family. We explain that he would be the protagonist in the original idea. In this case, we can see that the red kelpies have 3 pups, Rusty himself as the middle child, Dusty as the youngest pup, and Digger as the older brother. If the red kelpies would be what the healers are today, then the answer is already clear. Bluey's older brother would exist in the series, and Bingo would be a child of only 2 years old. In this case, we would have episodes between Bluey and her lost brother, who does not appear in the scenes that were released by the series production. It makes perfect sense, doesn't it? It's a shame they decided to change this part of the story, because unfortunately, the protagonist's older brother was never born. And remember, Joe Brum has already revealed that Chilli lost a child. In other words, our blue puppy really is the second healer pup, just like Rusty. Chilli. One thing that we unfortunately do not know about the first lost episode is that Chilli does not appear. We're still gonna show you the mom healer's version in the second lost story, so stay with us. Right now, the scenes from the lost pilot episode unfortunately do not show Chilli to the fans, and we still don't know the reason for that, but it is almost certain that she did not have a major role in this story. We say this because Chilli also does not have a major role in the true first episode of the series, Magic Xylophone. She leaves to go to work at the beginning of the story and only comes back at the end. In other words, there was no reason to show Chilli in the lost episode scenes because the idea was always to leave her out. Did you notice this detail in the leaked scenes?
Yeah.
violence. Now we truly have a reason why this episode was never revealed to fans in the original series. Bluey's violence against Bandit. In one of the scenes, when the little puppy is playing on the park swing, we see a moment where she spins all the way around in the air and hits Papa Healer with a very hard kick to the back. And that is a very big problem. As funny as it may be to watch a scene like this, where someone gets hit and falls to the ground, it is still a scene of violence that does not fit Bluey. Bandit could have been seriously hurt, anyone could have been injured, and that's why the scene was cut. Not to mention that some fans might imagine that it's fun to kick people, and no, that is not funny at all, and it is very wrong. It's amazing that they decided to change their minds.
You know what would be awesome? Subscribing right now and getting all our videos straight on YouTube. Attention. And you will be surprised to notice that another very wrong thing happens in another scene seconds before Bluey kicks Papa Bandit. If you pay attention to what Bandit is doing, you will see that Mr. Healer is playing on a cell phone while helping his daughter swing on the park equipment, but he is not paying attention to Bluey because he only cares about the phone. And that is a huge problem for the story of the series. Can you imagine our Bandit Healer being a character who doesn't pay attention to his daughters and still lets her go super high on a swing? He would never do that because it's dangerous. The personality of Bandit is that of a caring, funny, and playful dad, and above all, he protects his daughters, never leaving them in danger. This is so true that it's hard to name any dad who is better than Bandit. See how different this cartoon would be if this episode were not lost? It's cool to know these details that were left out, but it's a good thing none of this made it into the original series, don't you agree? Name. There is another detail that is very interesting about the final scene of the lost episode. When Bluey is playing on the swing, two of her friends come close to the little puppy, and you recognize them from the original series. We are talking about Rusty, the red kelpie who almost became the protagonist of the cartoon, and Mackenzie, the border collie from New Zealand who will probably be Bluey's romantic partner in the future. But there is a detail that, if you watch it, you will find very strange. When Bluey calls for Mackenzie, the one who answers is the red puppy. But wait, how is that possible? Does that make any sense? In fact, we discovered that the red kelpie's name would have been Mackenzie, while the border collie still would not have had his name spoken in the cartoon. Now look how funny this is. They decided to give the red puppy's name to the border collie. That is a detail we will explain in a moment, but first let's explain a point that many people still didn't understand. You know that Bluey has that name because she is blue, right? But the production of the show was going to call the red kelpie Mackenzie? That's why they changed their minds. Rusty means rust, and his fur looks like the color of something that is rusted, right? That's why Joe Brumm decided to change the puppy's name. Knowing that he would have had the name that today belongs to the border collie is a very cool detail, but it's a good thing the production team came up with a better idea, isn't it? Mackenzie. Speaking of Mackenzie, we have a super important detail to talk about. It is almost certain that he was already planned to be Bluey's love interest. We explained to you that the red kelpie almost became the main character and that his family is similar to the Healers. In this case, we can say that Rusty is the creator's way of showing fans what Bluey's lost brother's life would be like. But Mackenzie, why do you think he appeared in the lost episode? Anyone who watches the original series knows that the protagonist spends much more time alongside her girlfriends, such as Chloe, Indy, Coco, and also Honey. Wouldn't it make more sense to show one of those characters, or even Bingo, in the lost episode instead of Mackenzie? That is the clue you missed. We already explained why Rusty is there. He would be the protagonist, but the border collie only appeared because the series was going to show that he is Bluey's true love in the future. And if you doubt it, Joe Brumm said in an interview that he told the show's animators to put Mackenzie's and Jean-Luc's traits into the puppy who appears in the episode Surprise. The difference is that Jean-Luc didn't even exist at the time of the lost episode, but the border collie did. Did you notice that detail? It is very important for the future of the series. House. There is another lost Bluey episode. Actually, you know this story as the 6th episode of season 1 called Weekend, but it is still considered a lost episode because almost all the details are different. You notice the change right away when Bingo appears singing in the kitchen. The table in the lost scenes is blue, the cereal container is different from the original, and the juice pitcher in the episode is completely different. Bandit is with her, and you can see he is another version of the character. The belly spot is gone, and the head spot only covers part of his face. And you saw that the kitchen is completely different from the original, right? It is fully white white, while the show's kitchen is more colorful and has more details. Chilli is also different. The spot on her face is light, while in the original it is dark, and that is the first time we see Mrs. Healer. The backyard scene is also different. The tree Bingo finds is very plain and does not have pretty fruit like the original version. Do you see why this episode is considered lost? It is totally different from the version we know from the series, and not only that, this almost became the story of the show's first episode in 2017, but they changed everything to the magic xylophone adventure that we know very well. We're not showing you every lost detail because that would take a whole separate video, but don't worry, we will still talk about the differences another time, if you leave a like and comment a lot.
We've prepared 2 videos you're going to love. Pick one and keep having fun here with Teen Videos.